Hey y'all, Lily here. Today I am bringing you a different kind of wrap-up video. I am going back over some of my original stories that I did over on Lily's Lore and Legends with all of my written. And this was back before I didn't record any of my research or anything like that, so you guys never really got to hear any of my thoughts other than what I just put down on the digital paper for you guys to read. So what I'm doing is I'm going back over with the post. I haven't really looked at it since I've written it. I know what I wrote for the most part, but it's still a little bit new. Or, like, not new, but I don't remember everything I said. I did kind of scroll through to look and see because I am a bit lengthy. You guys know me, I can't do anything without just rambling, and that includes writing. So, I did look over them initially to see. I just went over and did the Haunting of the Battleship USS North Carolina. That one was a fun one because I was able to look back on it with fresh eyes since I have come up with the idea of possibly, at least in some cases with ghosts, there being time slips and things like that. So, a little bit fun to do. In this case, we are dealing not with ghosts but a lake monster here in North Carolina at Lake Norman. Lake Norman is North Carolina's largest man-made lake. She covers 32,750 acres and is hiding forgotten communities, farms, homes, and cemeteries. You might not think that today. Let's just talk about my brain. I'm reading this directly, so. And since I've already done one of these, actually, I did two of these. I'm not sure if I'm putting out the first one or not. It was extremely short. Not much of anything. I might pair it with something else later on down the line. But you guys, I love y'all so much for putting up with me and my squirrel brain, because right now it is hitting hard. Where I've been sick, it's just my brain is fuzzy. I've had like 2 hours sleep today, so I am running off of caffeine and sugar at this point in time. Because I've already done one of these, my voice is really going out, and it was already not great, so I had to stop and cough. And now, because my brain is not fully functioning and I'm reading this, there's some things that I've already said, so I don't need to repeat it while I'm reading it. And then also too, my tongue is getting slack, which means I'm sure my accent is getting thicker, which is embarrassing enough for me. So I am trying to blast through this as quickly as possible, but I got lengthy in this one. Go figure. But today we are going to talk about Normie, the unknown lake monster living deep in the waters of Lake Norman. But I really do want to say how disappointed I am. This has always been my beef with this one, that we don't actually have a haunted lake. Like, brain fart. Oh my goodness, you guys, y'all. I can tell I'm not with it. I may have to re-record this whole thing because oh god, three minutes in like 10 times, and I just. But I'm disappointed that this is not a haunted lake. If I didn't already say that 1,000 times, because it's flooded cemeteries. How is there not one like spot? This lake is fucking huge. It is 32,000 acres. How is there not one little cold spot of water, where it's haunted? That just seems crazy. But built in the 1960s by Duke Power Company, Lake Norman, I keep messing this up. Lake Norman used to be a freshwater lake kept warm by North Carolina's mild climate mixed with the wastewater from the runoff from a local nuclear plant. But back in 1996, reports started coming out about something not normal swimming around Lake Norman. Again, this is fun for me to go back over and read my own stuff. But also, too, it's a little weird. Let's see. The reports include people hearing loud splashing nearby, others saying a creature bigger than them tried to knock into their boat. Some have seen his head pop up or body out of the water, while others just see the wake in the lake and nothing to cause it. In some cases, Normie seems to be an aggressor and actively comes after swimmers or boats, and in others, he seems to be trying to get away from whoever is trying to catch him. Catch. I've been talking too long, you guys. Like all day. I'm running out of words. He's trying to get away from whoever is trying to catch him, either by film or by net. Whatever Normie is, he doesn't seem to like people too much, which I can understand. And what do people think Normie is? Rumors include a giant radioactive fish mutated by the water runoff at the nuclear plant, and others include a genetically mutated batch of fish that were dumped into the lake, and some even suggest prehistoric creatures that have found their way to the lake via the river system. I am so sorry, you guys. Again, I am tongue-tied at this point in time. And you guys know me and how I write. Whew. It is hard to read my writing sometimes whenever you're trying to say it out loud. Even for me, and I'm the one who wrote it. Before I make myself cough being silly. Due to its large size and depth of over 100 feet in certain parts, just about anything could be lurking in any size underneath Lake Norman's surface. Reports have included creepy features such as looking a little bit like a large alligator, red eyes, dog-like head, slime-covered skin, large body, giant eyes, so big that the monster attached to them must have been well-sized, and multiple fins. There have also been reports of either bioluminescence or underwater lights, but these reports are less common, so it's hard to say if Normie glows green or not. As the lake is fed by a river, some descriptions sound less fishy and more like messy in nature, with some believing Normie and Champy, the lake monster swimming around Lake Champlain up north, are somehow connected. I haven't gone back over and looked at this website since then, but there is LakeNormanMonster.com that has a bunch of personal experiences from people. If you wanted to read that, if you have your own story, as always, please send it in, and I would love to share it. The Catawba River feeds Lake Norman. Used to be home to the Catawba Nation, and they are still in the South Carolina area. And they have many legends of river monsters, which include giant snakes and giant leech-like creatures. As the river is a long one, reports from its headwaters to its mouth vary of unknown creatures that have been around as long as the people have been in the area. So, even though we have, what I basically was indirectly saying there was that we do have reports of river monsters from the Catawba tribe or Catawba Nation from before Lake Norman was even created. Because again, it was created in the 60s, 30s, something like that. So another piece of Normie's personal lore history of where he comes from is, of all things, aliens. This is a fun one. People have reported UFOs in the Lake Norman area since basically Lake Norman was created. These reports date back to 1968. They're pretty much your standard unknown aircraft and remain pretty consistent. So did Little Green Man bring us Normie? Is he a little green man that got left behind? We may never know, but also, still, a ghost. So what do we know about the creation of Lake Norman? Lake Norman covers more than 50 square miles, and it is sourced by the Catawba River and drains into the Mountain Island Lake, another smaller man-made lake in North Carolina. Even though the lake itself did not begin construction until the 1950s, Duke Powers, formerly known as Southern Power, plans for its development began in 1904 with the construction of the Old Catawba Station Dam. Duke Power then started buying up land, obtaining licenses and approval to move forward with the creation of the lake, in addition to buying up farms, homes, and more from the families in the communities that were flooded, or to be flooded, Duke Power had to clear much of that land as well. There seems to be conflicting information as to what is stated online and what local historians have to say in regards to how many of the previous buildings and communities and grave sites are left beneath the water. In some cases, they say it's still pretty intact, while others saying everything was either leveled or relocated. So we might not really ever know unless you just wanted to go scooping all through it yourself. Even with the graves, some sites report specific graves being moved, while others seem to only mention markers being moved. So we don't know if the bodies themselves have been moved. And yes, I harped very hard on this about it not being a haunted lake. I was very disappointed. The station dam and lake were completed in 1962 and 1964, respectively. Many of the wildlife that are... Oh, gosh, my brain. Most of the wildlife are the kind of creatures you would expect in North Carolina. Various bass, catfish, perch, bluegill, alligator, beaver, coyote, deer, raccoons, squirrels, snakes, turtles, etc. Due to the deep water and the warmer than normal temperatures from the nearby power stations, some fish, catfish in particular, have been reported to grow larger than expected. The local birds are ones that you would expect to see, along with start over again. The local birds are ones to be expected, with swans, geese, egrets, ducks, ospreys, and even bald eagles all making their home along Lake Norman and its shores. And I don't know if this random side note, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen a bald eagle in person before. I remember I was like 26, I think. I'm pretty sure I was like 26, 27. And I was driving from home to Charleston for the day. And on my way back, there was like this one strip of highway where this giant ass... I'm in a 2000 Civic at this point in time, right? So small car, compact car. But this giant bird lands down in the highway and then takes off, and I realized it's a bald eagle, and I had never seen one before, and I had no idea how large they were. Oh my goodness. I think that thing could have carried me away. It was so big. Beautiful, by the way. I'll probably never see one ever again, like in real life. But nice little memory. Anywho. A big source of concern for people who both use water sourced from Lake Norman and the people who like to swim and boat and fish in the water is the quality of water, because there's a coal plant or multiple coal power plants, and they have coal ash, and then there is the wastewater runoff from the nuclear power plant that people worry about. Back in 2018, there was a report that indicated the water was harmful to drink due to the radium levels exceeding EPA standards, and thallium levels were also exceeding federal standards and NC groundwater standards. Duke Power has reported that they are closing all of their ash bins, and that the test sites that were on their property... Okay. Sorry, I am trying to read my own writing. Even though it's typed, it's still difficult. Duke Power reported that they were closing all of their ash bins, and that the test sites were on their property and did not accurately reflect the water quality further away. Now, there does not seem to be, at the time that I wrote this, an updated report or a current one for the entirety of the lake. The last one for the entirety was dated in 2007. We do have a couple of normal explanations for what Normie could be. For starters, many descriptions are very alligator-like, and having lived both on the coast of North and South Carolina, I can tell you that alligators are really pretty common. In my neighborhood right now, I have a very small pond, and we have a small alligator. He's about 6 feet long, that lives there. They're up and down the coast, so they just kind of like to chill in the sun and don't like people bothering them. But let's see, I went on about alligators for a long time. So basically what I was saying was that Normie could just be an alligator living with bigger than what we would expect an alligator to be, just because the waters are so much more warmer and there's ample fish in the area. And in addition to fish was, these fish are oversized, again, due to the warm waters. And when I was first starting my research on this, I actually watched a video from a guy attempting to catch the largest catfish he possibly could. And I believe he said he was going for a 15-pounder. And in a couple of the videos that I linked, I believe that they caught bigger fish. And so, you know, big fish will create big wakes in the water whenever they are near the surface or, you know, breach the surface. And if you see a school of big fish, you might be one to think that it's something more than what it really is. I mean, do not get me wrong, I would love for Normie to be, you know, Nessie's cousin or some shit like that. That would be so cool. But it seems like the bigger possibility of it just being a really large catfish. It's just a high probability. Additionally, we do have a lot of water snakes in North Carolina, and some of those snakes find themselves in the waters of Lake Norman. And so snakes, just like the alligators and fish, can grow larger than normal with the warmer temperatures. So, scrolling down just because I was making some quips. I swear that's what half this post is. It's just fish quips. I just have to read this. While I have never seen Normie or anything I could begin to call Lake Monster Lake, you can't deny there is something. There are more than a few possible and logical explanations of what could be splishing and a splashing and pretending to be Saturday night's latest creature feature in Lake Norman. I never expected to say these words out loud, which is why they flow the way they do. But I mean, you guys have read my personal writing more than likely if you're like part of the core Lily lore community. So, y'all know how hard. Fuck. So, here's another interesting thing in relation to Normie. I'm trying to wrap myself back around from what he possibly could be. If you're unfamiliar with North Carolina, you might be surprised to know that a lot of us have Scotch-Irish blood in us, and as a result, we tend to have a lot of Highland game events throughout the state. There's actually some that are here in town once a year, and they're everywhere. In 1994, just 2 years before the first reported sighting of Normie, the Loch Norman Highland Games had a hot air balloon complete with a Nessie-like serpent design on it. And this could actually be Normie's true origin story, a simple balloon designed to honor the modern-day cryptid and inspired another in the process. So, but having never actually seen anything that both either proves or disproves the existence of Normie or really any other sea monster, lake monster, or river monster, I really can't say what it is that is in the water. It could be a monster of some kind that somehow came in through the river system. It could be, a really big fish. It could be an alligator. It could be absolutely nothing. It could be aliens. But you guys tell me what you think is lurking beneath the waters of Lake Norman. Because the one thing we do know is there's no ghost. I'll talk to you guys later.